Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see if I can get my setup hooked up this morning. There we go. Robert E., good morning. Sandra, good morning. Ronald, good morning. Good morning, y'all. All right. Set this up over there. There we go. All right. Apologize for being a little tardy this morning, man. Toothache was kicking my butt last night. My goodness, man. So if I'm a little woozy, got a little sleep in my face, man, charge it to my head and not to my heart, right? So let's just go ahead and get ready to do it. I'm just trying to make sure I can see my, got a special setup in the morning when I have guests on. So I'm expecting guests a little later in the show. So just bear with me as I get everything set up. Some reason YouTube is tripping with me this morning. The call ended because you lost your connection. I'm sitting right here in front of Wi-Fi. What do you mean? All right. I don't want to leave my YouTubers behind, but my other laptop is just, sometimes it has a mind of its own. And I see it connected to the internet, but it says I have no connection. Okay, it looks like it's trying to do something. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and start the show before it flakes out on me again. And hopefully it stays connected this time. Nope, it's still tripping. It's still tripping. All right, at any rate, good people. Let's get ready to go ahead and start the show here, and we'll see what YouTube is going to do a little bit later. Come on. All right. Well, forget it, people. Forget it.
Put the hip shit on the shelf, cause the way the real wealth is being real with self. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. It's time to switch it up, put the hip shit on the shelf, cause the way the real wealth is being real with self. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. Money. All you guys is not wrong with being wealthy. Like Kanye West said, having money is not everything, not having it is. No, Deuteronomy 8:18 says God gives us the ability to create wealth. Yo, it's the love of money that's the wrong. You know why money so much? Why you get up and go to work? Yeah, it's not to do with the wrong money. I'm just trying to leave a legacy for it. It's not everything, but when you got it, you can do some cool stuff. Now, your host for Talking Money in the Morning, financial health mentor to the working class, Mr.
Good morning, and welcome to Talking Money in the Morning Live with your main man, Ace Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the working class, where I do my absolute best to bring practical, proven wealth building strategies to working men and women all over this great nation of ours. As you guys can see, I'm still trying to get YouTube to cooperate with me this morning. But today's show is brought to you by EyeSeeMe, African American Children's Bookstore. Super excited about today's guest. It's going to be on for the second half of the show. So we're talking about training up a child in the way that the child should. If you want to find good reading material for your children, good books with images that look like them, with stories that they can relate to, from history to fiction to nonfiction, get biographies written by us, written for us, illustrated by us, illustrated for us, then you want to mark this website down, EyeSeeMe.com. And that's EyeSeeMe.com. Man, when I was in that store, I was literally blown away by the amount of titles that they have, the amount of categories that they have. If you watch media, you think that there's only a handful of African-American writers and illustrators in the country, but that is not the case, man. So to see all of that literature aggregated in one place for us specifically and by us, it's just an amazing thing to see. So EyeSeeMe.com, and then do me a huge favor. Go over to their fan page, which is also EyeSeeMe, EyeSeeMe on Facebook, and go ahead and like that fan page and share it with everybody that you know who's into rebuilding our communities, because literacy is one place to start. And if you want to get your kids involved in early childhood literacy, sometimes it helps to get them books in front of them with images that they can relate to. So do me a huge favor, if you're checking this out on YouTube, since YouTube is finally kicked in for me, I want you to grab the link, share it on your favorite social media timeline. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I certainly appreciate it if you were to do that for us. And that brings, get other people involved. This is a very special show for me because I'm always looking for ways to serve my community. And when I was over there end of March, I was over at the EyeSeeMe store. There was a group called St. Louis Connect, and they were just doing something kind of like in Atlanta, they do something called a cash mob, where they just organize and they just bum rush a Black-owned business, and they shop and they spend money, and then they do check-ins on social media from that spot, and they just let everybody know about how cool that spot is. So when I was there, and I was just walking throughout that bookstore, and I was just seeing title after title, illustration after illustration. Even when it comes to our history, got a lot of our history books. And of course, even when they tell our history, they don't often tell our history via images that look like us. So I was tremendously impressed with the way the store was put together. And now I'm singing the praises, man. I want people to really support that store. And if you're not here in the local St. Louis area, go to EyeSeeMe.com and you can still support. You'll see hundreds and hundreds of titles by hundreds and hundreds of authors. So number one, you'd be supporting those authors and letting them know that, yes, their work is not going in vain. When you buy those books, it says, yes, we are interested in seeing images that we can relate to. We are interested in children's books that were specifically written for us. So that's important, right? And then, of course, when you support a store like that, you're showing that we too want our history on display. We too want our businesses, not just the chicken joints, right? Nothing wrong with if you have a chicken joint as a business, not just the barbershops. Nothing wrong if you have a barbershop, if you're a barber, if you're a hairstylist, nothing wrong with that. But we are such a diverse people that we should be in every enterprise or every industry on the planet, right? So sometimes to help keep us in industries that we're not normally found, we have to support those who step out on faith and try to build businesses, build brands in those industries. So man, it was just awesome, right? So you guys know I'll do the same thing for me on Facebook. Go ahead and share the stream, put it in your social media timeline, but also invite people who's got young children because Jeffrey's going to come on today. He's going to talk about the mission of EyeSeeMe. He's going to talk a little bit about how they found it and how things are going, how we could support, and the things that they need from the community. They have a nice space where they have readings of books all the time, little meetings. I know Caleb from Books and Bros was meeting there, and that's it's a little foundation by another kid, entrepreneur, and it's a reading club for young boys. So a lot of good stuff happening out of that place. So we've got to be supporting companies like that are serving our community so well. And just so you know, if you stumbled up on the show on accident, who the show is for, the show is for risers and grinders only, man. If you're ready to get out and get something, this show is for you. Show is for legacy builders, right? We're talking about the children today. We're talking about babies today. Who's ready to build a legacy for their children? Lay a solid foundation. So even if you don't get to erect the skyscraper, you lay the foundation big enough, wide enough, strong enough so your children can build up on top of that, and they just keep that thing going. If that is you, this is your show, right? Who's the show not for? The show is not for those who are not out for rebuilding the community, man. I'm big on entrepreneurship because I believe that one can make a dollar and make a difference at the same time. But in making a dollar and making a difference, it's still all about the community. So if that's not you, this ain't your show, man. Right? If you have a problem with, money, economics, you're more of a socialistic type of attitude, type of just kumbaya and everybody let the government parse out all the wealth. This ain't your show, man. This ain't your show, right? If you have a problem with those of us who are on this stream aspiring to be wealthy and wanting to be a future billionaire, this ain't your show, man, right? We are here because somebody at some point has to put themselves in a position to write some checks with more than 1 or 2 zeros. That's why entrepreneurship is so important to me. That's why I think it should be important to you, because when you think about the funding of all of these other communities, it's funded by individuals in those communities who are in position to write checks with more than 1 or 2 zeros. So if that's not you, that's cool, but you can exit stage left and we won't miss you. And I can tell you each and every morning, if you've never seen a future billionaire before, then I want you to take a screenshot and watch me work. Jeez. Because I'm telling you, it's going to get done. 2027, I will have amassed $1 billion worth of assets, period, right? And you could do the same thing, man. 80% of all wealthy people in this country are first generation wealthy. What does that mean? That means in a 18 to 24 year span, they went from, some of them broke, poverty, some of them just regular working blue collar families. But what that really means is these people had to grind for it. They did not have an inheritance passed down to them. They didn't have a silver spoon in their mouths. They went to work and they became wealthy, 7-figure net worth in a single generation. What is a single generation? 18 to 24 years. So it can be done, right? How long did it take Zuckerberg to put Facebook on the map and make it $1 billion enterprise? How long did it take the founders of Google to make it $1 billion enterprise, right? So it can be done. So we're talking about training up a child. And one thing you have to understand is that children pick up far more than they're taught. Children pick up far more than they're taught, right? What does that mean? That means you have to be very cautious and conscious about the environment you submerge your children into. You have to be very conscious and cautious about the environment. They pick up more than they are taught, right? Give you an example. Give me an example. How many of you sat down and taught your children when they were 2.5, 3 years old, every word in the English language? You taught them, this is this word, this is what it means, this is how you use it in context. Did you have to teach them every single word, or did they pick up the language because they were submersed in the culture where the language is taught 24/7? Right? Did you have to teach them every single word, or did they just pick up the language because they were immersed in a culture where the language is taught or spoken 24/7? So understand this. I want you to think about this deeply. What culture are you immersing your children in, and what language is being spoken in that culture? Are you immersing them in a culture of self-doubt? Are you immersing them in a culture of self-defeat? Or are you immersing them in a culture where a low self-image is a language that is being spoken in that culture? Or are you immersing them in a culture where laziness, welfare mentality is being spoken in that culture? Right? Now, I'm not just talking about the language that is verbally spoken. I'm talking about the attitudes. I'm talking about the mental state. I'm talking about the actions that are going on in the culture that your kids are immersed in right now. Does the language of that culture speak success? Does it speak power? Does it speak positivity? Does it speak you can do it? Does it speak go after your dreams? Does it speak you can have whatever you set your mind to? Or does that language of that culture speak defeat, self-doubt? I can't do it. There's no way. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough. What does the language of your culture speak to your children? What are your children picking up as they're immersed in the culture that you have them placed in? Are they immersed in a culture where they see successful images of successful people that look like them all the time? Are they immersed in a culture where they see their parents grinding for their own dreams and goals? Or are they immersed in a culture where they see their parents go to work every day, come home, complain about their job every day, and then in the same breath tell their children that they can go after their dreams? Kids are very perceptive. You're telling your child to go after their dreams, and you're not going after yours. You're letting yours die on the vine. What is the culture like that you're immersing your children into? Children pick up far more than what they're taught, right? The worst thing that you can do to a child or to anybody, but especially to a child, is set expectations too low. The worst thing you can do to a child, or to anybody for that matter, but in particularly a child, is set expectations too low. Sometimes we set the bar so freaking low, then we celebrate so freaking big when they hit the bar, and the bar is set at a below average state. Right? How many of you have gone to the most grandiose kindergarten graduation party? I've seen some people go over the top for a kindergarten graduation party, as if that was not the expectation. as if that was the end. Am I saying don't celebrate your child's success? I'm not saying that. But I'm saying sometimes you go over the top as if that was not the expectation. My niece thought it was over. She thought it was a wrap. She graduated from kindergarten. She was like, whoo, done with that school stuff, right? Had a big party for her. Everybody came to hang out. And she was like, when they told her, like, yeah, now you got to go to first grade. She's like, what? She was like, what? Right? The worst thing you can do for a child is set expectations too low. There's a YouTube video, and I think it's on Facebook too, where there's a child. He has to be 5, maybe 6 years old, and the child is operating a bulldozer, a crane, or some heavy piece of machinery, right? Some heavy piece of machinery. I mean, this kid is behind the wheels and the controls of this. I think they were tearing down a building, right? Asian kid. And he's just back there and he's just doing all of this with this heavy piece of machinery, right? And he's not just playing behind it. He's controlling it. He's moving this pile of debris over here, and he's systematically working and then knows what to do with this piece of machinery, right? The worst thing you can do to a child is set expectations too low. So on one hand, you got a child at 5, 6 years old operating heavy machinery. Other parts of the world, you got children 8, 9, 10 years old firing heavy weaponry with accuracy, right? And then in some places in the world, a child at 5, 6 years old isn't even allowed to tie his own shoe. Because the parents, oh, baby, I got it. Don't worry about it. You'll learn it in a little while. I'll teach you how to do it later. Let me do it right now. The very worst thing that you can do for a child is to set expectations too low. So I want you to think deeply and consistently, and always keep this top of mind. What is the environment? What is the culture like that you are raising your children in? What is the language of that culture? Because that's what the children are picking up on, right? I grew up, I'm the fourth born of 6 children, raised by a single mom on welfare. Now, we didn't live in the projects, but we lived in a community, in a house surrounded by projects. So that's the same thing as living in the projects. We just didn't live in any apartment buildings, but we lived in the project type neighborhood, right? Even though we were surrounded by poverty, even though we were on welfare, government assistance, it was difficult for us to have things, because my mom was heavily involved in the church. And because of that, she didn't work. And she figured that she would make welfare work for us. So we were extremely, extremely, extremely broke, right? Not poor, but broke, right? What is the difference between broke and poor? Broke is a temporary situation. Poor is a permanent state of mind, right? So we were broke. Now, even though it's supposed to be temporary, we were broke for a long time, right? But the culture of the environment, even though we lacked hot water for months on end, even though we lacked electricity for days at a time because we couldn't afford to pay the bill, right? Electricity was rigged up in a lot of times, right? Even though we lacked some of the bare bones necessities for stretches, the culture was that of faith. The culture was that of belief. The culture was that of love and support one for another, right? The culture was very different. It wasn't one of limiting beliefs. It wasn't one of doubt. It wasn't one of you can't do it. It wasn't one of low expectations, set the bar low. It wasn't one of, we're not going to make it out of this situation, right? So when you're crafting your culture, you have to think about that. What is the language of the culture speaking to your children? Is it speaking their greatness, right? Do you speak about the greatness and the history, or do you speak about the white man keeping his thumb on our neck? Right? What is the language of the culture? I'm not talking about the English language. I'm not talking about slang and ebonics and all that. I'm talking about the language of the actions of the people that you are surrounding your children by. What does that language say to your children? Because it is that the children are picking up on. See, you're telling your child they can be great. You're telling your child they can go after their dreams, but they're watching you abandon your dreams and go to a job every day. Not only are you going to a job every day, you're coming home complaining about how you can't stand that job. And your children, as intuitive as they are, as perceptive as they are wondering to themselves, Mom, you're intelligent. Dad, you're intelligent. Why won't you just go get another job? Why won't you just go start your own business? Why won't you do this? Why won't you do that? Because they're picking up on they're perceptive. So let me see if I can get to my guest real quick and see if he's going to be ready to rock and roll. But again, these guys are doing something amazing over at EyeSeeMe, right? EyeSeeMe.com is the website. It's a Black-owned African-American children's bookstore where the focus is putting our children in front of literature where the images in that literature represents them. That is the focus, right? That is the focus. I guess I can do it right here too. I'm on to the other laptop. But let me see if my guest is going to be ready for me this morning. All right. Let's see. Let me send him a quick message. All right, there we go. So yeah, he's got my message. So let's see if we can get him on here in a second, right? So any thoughts on the environment, the culture, while we're waiting on our guests, any thoughts on the environment and the culture that we're bringing our babies up in, man? Anybody doing anything extraordinary to make sure that their children are immersed in the right culture? Just posted it all the time. Kindergarten party is really an adult party. They sitting at the table playing Bid Whiz and drinking. Yeah, and celebrating as if that is the end, right? Same thing with the 5th grade graduation, right? Third grade graduation. I'm like, man, I ain't never known it to be that many doggone graduations. Right? But they're celebrating because that speaks to the culture that we've been able to get you to this point, and we're surprised that you made it through kindergarten, right? Let's see, Carl Box spoke of this bookstore on my show Tuesday, discussion with Dallas Library, just for minutes. Yeah, man, Ray, it's a phenomenal little place. Morning, Joe. It's a phenomenal little place, man. When I went in there, literally all you see is us everywhere. It's us everywhere. I didn't know that there were so many Black authors and illustrators. There my man is. He says he's on the Zoom meeting, so let me Bring him on. Good deal, good deal, good deal. There we go. All right. So we've just been talking about the actual store. So now let me bring on the founder, one of the founders. He and his wife put it together. I don't know if his wife is going to be on today, but let me make you a panelist, Jeffrey, and we're just going to get right into it all. There my man is. So let me unmute you.
Okay.
Guys, so here we go with the owner and founder of EyeSeeMe, African American Children's Bookstore. Phenomenal job you guys are doing over there, Jeffrey. So before we get into the bookstore, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background first, and then we'll talk a little bit about why you put the bookstore together and how all of that came to be.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Cortez, on your show. I follow you in the mornings and I commute back and forth into work. And so you're doing a great job there, man. I definitely respect your help. So myself and my wife, we're actually from New Jersey. Been married for 30 years. We have 4 children. And myself, I have a computer science undergraduate degree. I also have a law degree. And I also do consulting work. And so I did consulting work on Wall Street. I've done for the government a little bit, which brought me to St. Louis. And now I work at Washington University professionally. My wife has a background in banking, and also a lot of both of us together have a lot of backgrounds working in youth organizations, whether it be in Newark, New Jersey, in Harlem, New York, in Paterson, New Jersey, and now here also in St. Louis, working in the Mutual Park Neighborhood Improvement Association and various organizations throughout this region. So those are some of that we sort of our background.
Okay, so on the little promo clip that I put out yesterday, you spoke a little bit about, just looking for some positive images for your children first and foremost, and the struggle that you went through there. So tell us that story, and then how EyeSeeMe was birthed.
Absolutely. So we had 4 children: Jeff Jr., Sarah, Naomi, who are twins, and then Ezra, who's the youngest. And so in raising them, our ultimate fundamental belief is that education is our responsibility as parents. And so, we were having, working with them and teaching them even before they started school. And so one of the things that we found is difficult was us finding information that looked like them. At a young age, one of the primary ways of teaching is through images. But all the images that we found were the images that did not look like them. And we could see as parents, but before we were parents, maybe we didn't notice it as much. But as parents, we just saw how critical it was to their psychology about themselves, how they feel about themselves, how they feel about their people that they belong to, how they can understand even what their unlimited potential was being stifled because of the fact the only time they saw people doing something positive, people that did not look like them.
Right.
Now, you include this fact that now looking at TV or looking at all other areas, anytime that we are on the scene, anytime we are seen, usually it was something negative. And so we had to scour and find items for our children so we can kind of make sure they did not have that type of psychological damage, at that young age. Those are some fundamental principles that you draw on from a young age. And so we did that. And we made a conscious effort to make sure to surround them, whether it's posters in the room, whether it's like T-shirts and images, whether it's books, whether it's, cartoons, the Cosby Show or whatever it was, things to make sure that they can see themselves in positive light, and so that was very good. Along with that, as well as as we would go through history, one of the questions as we would go through various periods, whether it be the Ottoman Empire or we would talk about all different types of stuff. Well, where were we, like as Black people during this time period? There's like a void there. Like only time that you find information about us is about slavery and civil rights. Like that's our only contribution to this whole planet. And so it was important and imperative again that we don't continue to push forward that narrative that that somehow our history was not as important or that you don't belong to a very proud and strong and noble line of people that you can continue to carry on that legacy on, even going to your children. And so we had to really make our concept to do that. And so again, this wasn't about perspective of business or anything like that. It was just really in our household, sitting around our dining room table and really talking and playing and reading about these various things. So along with those two things, the idea that, again, they got to have positive images, the idea that they have to understand, know the history, which caused us to have to learn to know our history. And then the third thing also is that it had all this information had to be in a child-friendly manner, you know? So, you can sit and lecture all day, right? And we can get a lot of different books about all these scholars, again, about African-American history or African history or things like that, but it has to be in a format that children can respond to and can relate to. And so one of the first things that we did, and it was very crude, was just, putting together a handmade game so that we could play with our children talking about some of these topics and things.
Wow.
And it ended up being a lot of fun. Again, it was, number one, we were learning. Number two, we're spending time together. The TV was off for a while, and we were sitting around our dining room table talking, laughing, playing, and learning together. And it was really exciting. And so what we found is that over time, this type of perspective of having an understanding of what our foundation is, a love of learning, translated into their studies, and they actually started doing exceptionally well in school when they started going to school. And so teachers, parents asked us, what's the secret sauce? And so we talked about it. We said, hey, this is what we did, and we kind of did that. So we ended up creating a game. So we ended up creating a game that we actually printed and started to sell. It's called Timeline Game, and that's where we would take different historical events, put them in the game is putting them in order. And so as you put them in order, you begin to understand what the narrative looks like. It's not just one isolated historical event, but how does the event fit into this whole spectrum or this whole trajectory of us as a people? And so we started doing that. We also started putting together a matching game where we were able to match. An example is one called Inventors, and we would match the inventor with the invention. Usually matching games, that's the same thing, but this was not inventor with the invention. And so again, it was a fun game. I remember one of the first games we gave out to one of our friends, and a little girl, and she loved it so much because it had images look like her in the game. And when her friends would come over, they're like, oh, come on, let's play this game. So she was excited about it. I didn't have to tell her, go learn your history, right? She was excited and fun and proud to talk about, who she is? You know what she did? You know what I mean? It was self-motivating, and that's really what we wanted the children to do, is be self-motivated so that we don't have to, always just push them, go ahead, you should be reading, you should be doing that. You want to make it fun for them, but they want to do it themselves. And so that kind of started that trajectory of us seeing that, wow, was a need in our house, and it's a need in other people, our friends and our family, our circles. And we looked up, we saw the whole community really needs someone in this space, and no one was doing it. And so eventually that grew into EyeSeeMe, and the way we got the name is that, we saw that there was a gap with children seeing themselves in positive arenas. Particular history or anything contributing a positive in society. And so our goal is, by the time the children interact with this company, with us, we want them to say, I see me. I see me now. I can see me, because we all need a type of, imagery or role models in our lives so we can see our potential. And so that's where that came from.
Man, that's powerful because we don't realize it, even as adults, that's where the self-hatred comes from.
Yes.
If I only see me harming me, if I only see me degrading me, if I only see me trashing me, if I only see me enjoying or being happy when I'm with other people that don't look like me, then psychologically I've just created or subscribed to a self-hatred type image. So what you guys are doing is so needed, and that's why I wanted you on the show, because everybody has got to know that this is how it goes. Now, you said a couple key things, man, that I want to go back to and dive into a little bit. Number one, parents are the first teachers, right? Number two, and I think one of the reasons parents aren't becoming the first teacher, you said, in order to be able to teach this stuff to our babies, we got to learn this stuff, right? And I think that's where the disconnect is with the new generation of parents. Like, hey, I've got to turn the TV off myself so that I can get some of this information in me. Then I've got to be able to know it well enough to regurgitate it in bite-sized chunks for the different kids. Now, your kids are different ages, right? So
yes, they're older now, right? The oldest one is 23, and he is actually he graduated last year from Rutgers University with a master's degree in bioscience, and he's actually applying to medical school. And then I have twin girls that are 17 and actually graduating from high school this year. They actually just they got a ride to Washington University, so they're moving to Washington University. And my youngest son, he's actually 16, but he got skipped, so he's in the same grade with his sisters. So I have 3 seniors, and all 3 of them are going to Washington University in the fall.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, so with that
EyeSeeMe was the foundation that helped them along that academic path.
To get there. So, because that's another thing where, with that little bit of an age disparity, it's like, okay, do I teach the 23-year-old in the same manner, in the same way that I'm teaching the 17 and the 16? But it sounds like the way you guys did it, you made it so fresh and new that it was just cool for all of them at the same time. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, absolutely. You have to understand, it's exciting to them because, like you said, it's novel and new. They don't get this anywhere, right? It's not. Where are you going to find out about yourself, right? There's no place you can go and do that, right? In school, you're learning about, and that's one of the things, I remember my daughter would come home and say, like, I'm so tired of the same old story. The only time about us in school was, for maybe one day about slavery, and then Martin Luther King. And then the other thing is any of the other like novel or stories, always going to be the same classic story. You have a black family in poverty, probably drugs, maybe single mother, and then you have a white savior, some white teacher who comes and does something to kind of like, wow, inspire. And that's the narrative, and that's the story. And it's like, it's not to say that's not a story, and that's a story that happens in our community, absolutely. But there are numerous other stories that are out there, and those never get told, right? And so sometimes children I just want to read about some kids and a dog playing down the street. That's it. That's all. And so
it's just a kid that looks like my daughter, my son, playing with a dog that looks very much like my dog, going through some normal 9-year-old kid stuff.
Absolutely. Right? And so when the kids do see that, they're like, wow. They're really excited. I can tell you so many stories because right now it's no longer theory. It's now that we've been here about a year and a half. Now we have we know it works. We've seen the impact. We've seen children coming here with daughter, or the mother would come in and say, I don't like to read. She's like 9, 10 years old, and she comes in here like she don't really want to be here. A bookstore, mom, can I go do something else? But then, like you said, you had the experience. You come and look around, and everything you see looks like you. It is mind-blowing, and it's hard to describe. You have to come see it for yourself. And when by the time she left, she couldn't decide what books to take to buy because she had so many choices. And it was like amazing to see that total transformation. So a lot of times when our children say they don't like to read, they like to read about other people.
They don't like to read
about me. I'm tired of this. I get this all the time. I want to see about me. Once you do that, you have to tell me to read. I'm like, what is that about? Wow, I've never seen that before. And then that clicks. And that's what you really want, that click of self-motivated learning. And that's what we want for our children.
Exactly. Good deal. Now talk about this, because as an entrepreneur, as someone who is seriously trying to figure out Black economics and what we need to be doing to move the agenda to rebuild our communities, I often say that I am for economic empowerment and community development, but you can't develop a community without capital, right? And you can't empower people economically or a community economically without empowering the people economically. So that's why I teach finance. But you are now a distribution arm for a lot of Black authors who need that, right? So talk about the relationships now that you have with the writers and the illustrators and those who are marketing and distributing books and that sort of thing. So let's get to the entrepreneurial side. How many different authors got works in that store?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, we have our standard distributors and Random House and Baker and Taylor and all those various things. But when we opened up the store, what we didn't realize it was a great unintended consequence was the fact that there are, like you said, a lot of local, independent, self-published authors that are in the same space of trying to create positive African American images for children and for children's books. And so we started to engage them, and it became phenomenal because there's some great, talented authors that we have right here in St. Louis. Yeah. And so we have a number of them. I mean, we have, I've on top of my head, maybe about 20 different local authors, and that we carry their books here. And so whenever we go out to events, we do book fairs, so on and so forth. We're always trying to push their books before the other books to really try to get them to get that in. Because one of the things that we have to realize is that, like you mentioned, there are a lot of books out there, but you have to find them. And relative to all the books that are being printed, it's really a small percentage. And so the more that we can get the local authors in to get the buy-in from parents and schools to that this is a need, and we really need to be including these books in our libraries, need to be in our classrooms, they need to be in our home libraries, and all those various things, and the more and more that industry can create and grow. So our independent authors will benefit, our parents will benefit, and most importantly, our children will benefit. And so creating those relationships with those with the authors has been really a substantial part of our success here at EyeSeeMe.
Good. Yeah, because I picked this one up when I was there. This one is the incredible work of engineers with max action super scientists, right? And the reason this drew my attention because I'm thinking to myself, STEM, right?
Yes. Science,
technology, education, math. I throw a couple M's on there and a couple E's in there too. So it's more like a STEAM to me, right? Because I throw in not only engineering, but also entrepreneurship, and then math, medicine, and money, right?
Yeah. I like that.
Things that we need to be learning. But when you think about that fundamentally, and you see a work like this, and we're talking about why our children are falling behind in STEM, this could be the answer. This could help, right?
Absolutely.
Engage them at a very early age where they see a scientist as a superhero, not somebody who's muscle bound that can run fast and jump high, but somebody who's got a super brain. And they might be saying, I got a super brain. I can't run fast. I can't jump high. But I got a super brain. So I too can be a superhero based on looking at a manuscript like this.
Yes. So, no, absolutely. And that is a great series. And we have that. There's a number, there's dozens in that series there. And like you said, when we distribute these to the schools, you have a lot of different schools in the area, and they have them in their libraries. They can't keep them on the shelf. Black and white students, because it's something new. They've never seen that before. And when they do, it's exciting, and it's sort of like what we did around our dining room table. We were bridging fun with learning. Right? Because it's not a choice. You don't have to we try to make it a choice. Oh, I got to do homework, that's work. I want to go play, right? It's like, not fun. This is real interesting stuff. And the way they put that together, I thought was real interesting. So like that one was engineering. There's different topics of chemistry or weather, experimentation, just they even have, they bring in sports like basketball and from a scientific perspective and football and things like that. Really, really a great series, and we can't keep them on the shelf. They really are very, very, very hot. And children really are drawn to them. Yeah, absolutely. So also add to that, along with the books that we sell, a couple of things that we do programs, right? Because you understand, we just don't want to take just selling product, right? Our idea is to help fill this gap. And you had mentioned earlier, a lot of times parents don't even know what to do. Maybe they understand it's a problem, but what do? You come to EyeSeeMe. We can help you with that, right? We do consulting services with parents, with schools, even with teachers. You'd be surprised. Teachers don't know. They don't have the answer. If they did, we wouldn't have this problem. Right. So they come to us, and we help them understand exactly this is what you're missing. And it's something a lot of times that when you look at it from our perspective, it seems sort of basic and fundamental, but I think it's been this way for so long. We're just used to it this way. Right. But it shouldn't be this way, and so we're trying to fill that gap by also adding, sort of consulting to parents and teachers in schools so they can understand what to do, as well as programs here at the store. Like when you came, we have a meeting room area out there in the back, and we have meetings there. So we have story time on Sundays at 2:00. Bring your children at story time. We have a boys STEM program that we do every Friday. And actually, the boys just competed at Washington University at a gifted program. Wow. Now, the boys at various schools, and it was so proud to be a part of this, and they were proud to be a part of it. And so every school has representatives that go to this regional type of competition. And it was one of the boys said when he went, some of the kids at his school were there representing their school, and they were like, "Hey, what are you doing here? You didn't make the team at school." I was like, "Well, you made the team at EyeSeeMe." And so he's sitting at the table at this gifted program here, but the school said he wasn't gifted, but he's there on that same level. Imagine what that does to his confidence and his pride about that. So yeah, you're right. STEM is a basic foundation, and we're doing a lot of programs here, especially over the summer as well, in order to assist and bring children and boys and girls into a love for science and technology and math.
Okay. So tell me this personally, but to those who are listening, but I want to know personally, how can we help you guys take this thing to another level? Because like you said, there's a big gap, there's a big void. You guys are filling it, and running careers and running the store and doing all that you do.
Yes.
How can we as a community help you guys take this thing to another level? Because I see me as a franchise is what I see. But how can we help you take it to another level?
So, we're sort of past our proof of concept, right? It definitely is a need. There definitely is, support from the community, from schools. And so we just want to continue on that path to grow that. We've been having a request from other areas of the city, of the St. Louis region, as well as other cities in the country in order to duplicate this process. What we want to do is really make this as it's efficient and as profitable as possible. So the need is there. We can supply the information. Now we want to make sure and make it, make sense as a business from a business perspective. And so for that, we need support. We need sales. Come into the store. Is one thing. Go to our website, EyeSeeMe.com, EyeSeeMe.com, and support that way. In addition, all the different organizations that your audience is a part of, whether it's a church, whether it's a school, the YMCA, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, any other organizations, connect them with us, because we can come out, we can do speeches in order to presentations in order to help them understand the need of literacy, and particularly African American images in literacy programs. We can help do book fairs. We can help do a lot of different connections with a lot of those programs. So we want all our supporters to be sort of our eyes and ears for opportunities for us to be there and to help. The important thing is getting these books in your homes, getting these books in your classrooms, and getting these books in your libraries. And all these programs are services for you as parents, as aunts, as uncles, as grandparents, so you can demand that your school has these books in there and that they get it here from us. Don't go to Amazon. Come here. Don't go to Amazon. Come here. That's how you support one another. You right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Good. So let's talk a little bit. I don't know how much time you got left. We're approaching 8:00, but let's talk a little bit about the book fair. So if I talk to my pastor and said, you know what? We are a predominantly Black church. There's a Black bookstore that I want you to make room for to come and do a book fair at this church. One day, one weekend, or whatever the day. How does that work to connect you and just say, hey, my pastor has agreed. We have a congregation of 500 or something, and there's 200 children. We're going to get as many of them out as possible. How can we get you to come set up that book fair? That way we can help you get some books sold, but we can also help introduce you to other parents who need EyeSeeMe in their lives, right?
Absolutely.
How would that work?
That's a simple, what you just said, very simple. We make it really simple. So once we talk about what dates, if it's an event that's happening, we're tied to, whatever it could be. There's one church that we did a little while ago. They do a fifth Sunday. Every fifth Sunday, they do something different than they normally do, or whatever it is, whatever the event is. We can come out, we'll bring the books, we'll set up, We can talk about different things. We can bring some storytellers. We can bring some local authors to come and do a little bit some of the book readings. We can add some this to it than just doing the books. We can do presentations again with the parents and talk about the importance and how to and things like that and different tips in order to help. Literacy is that foundation, right? Yeah. Literacy and is one of the things that we want to really get going at the beginning stages, because that is the foundation for all learning, right? Whether you're going, no matter where you go to. And so, we can come in and talk about those themes. So the first thing we do is sit down, sort of have like a planning and strategy meeting, and then we would just sort of make it happen. And so that really has been, one of the driving forces of really, getting the word out there and really having impact. Since we've been open, man, I got to say, we've been, tens of thousands of books are now in the St. Louis region. With images that look like us in children's homes and in the schools and so, and that really gives us a good feeling. We want to double and quadruple, that number, and just
exactly.
Impact.
So talk really quickly about the 3 pillars again that you guys are the foundation of EyeSeeMe.
Right, that's it. Our mission: early childhood literacy. Again, that's the foundation of everything, of learning. Positive African American images. And then also African-American history, right? So those are the 3 things that we really focused on to make sure that our children have that foundation. And once we have all those 3 pieces met, then we know that in our child's education, then they end up being self-motivated. They end up, being able to have critical thinking skills, right? Be able to look at various things and also, understand this is who I am, this is what I'm about, and I can now put my chart along with my supporters and my mentors and my family, what my life is going to be about. It's not a perfect world, but we want to give our children the tools that they're going to need to be resilient and to be successful in this world. And so,
and I think one of the underlying things that they will get from this type of education, without you having to say it in sometimes such a negative way, right? We've all been taught that you got to be twice as good to get half as much, right? But when you teach it this way, they can start to fundamentally see their place in the world and why things are off kilter and off balance.
That's right.
And they can know intrinsically, okay, I'm really in a fight here. This ain't kumbaya that they keep talking about. This thing is real. So I love that, being able to present that to them all the time without saying, man, the white man this and right. Different way that you're presenting that very clearly, without at the same time doing it in such a negative way that you raise them with so much anger, frustration in their hearts and all that kind of stuff. And then last thing, did you have any reservation? Because I know this is one thing that a lot of Black entrepreneurs kind of struggle with. Did you have any reservation saying, no, EyeSeeMe is an African-American children's bookstore. We're not all inclusive. We're not a minority children's bookstore. We are an African-American children's bookstore. Did you have any reservations there? Did you just say, hey, no, this is what it is. This is my market and I'm going for it?
Not much. We had maybe some brief conversations, but not really. Because you know why? The truth. Forget the politics. And here's the thing. We work a lot with children. And our children are suffering. The concept about the achievement gap and all those various things that we fall under. And I go into the classrooms. I work with the schools. I see these kids. These kids are not dumb. These kids are. Sometimes I talk to parents and say, listen, don't believe what the school is telling you, because those MAP scores come and they're down here and white kids are up here. That's not a measure of their intellect. That's a measure of how bad a job the schools are doing at teaching our children. That's why, again, fundamentally, it's our responsibility to teach our children. So, our children have the potential not just to be equal, but to be greater than. And so that's the perspective that we come from, that our children have limitless potential. And so we need to really, it's so critical for us that we didn't have really, we don't have time for the politics, right? Let's just talk the truth. Our children need this. And again, here's the interesting thing that we didn't anticipate. I got to say, a large percentage of our audience are white parents, are white school districts, because either they have maybe adopted Black children, or even for their white children, they also want them to be exposed to multicultural information. You know what I mean? So our decision to go and follow the truth about who we are and what we're about, actually we see us being a light to all people, because all people who are good-natured understand or hopefully can see this is a positive thing. It's not about the down on anybody, but it's about understanding that this is a segment of our population needs this, and we need to give it to them. We need to be on board to assist us and help us to make sure all children have what they need to be successful. And this is what our children need.
Exactly.
Yes.
Good deal, man. So we're going to wrap up the show, man, but I want you to tell us whatever you want to tell us. You told us a lot. Tilt your camera up just a little bit. You told us a lot, but tell us anything else you want us to know. I know we're going to pump the website because that's good to get you out there. I'm connected with a lot of people on this stream watching right now who have organizations and different things that I'm sure we're going to be in touch with getting you guys to come out and do some bookstore. But tell us anything that I forgot to ask, you wanted to say that you didn't mention, and then give us the address, phone number, and all that good stuff.
Okay, sure. Just 3 quick things. One, last week we had the passing of Patricia McKissick. Patricia McKissick, she's from St. Louis, and Patricia McKissick is a honored African-American children's book author. She has hundreds of titles. Look her name. We have a lot of her books here as well. And she passed. She's from this area, and she's written so many books, so many subjects. So I just wanted to let people know about that. If you not familiar with her, definitely don't familiar with her, because she's a hero in this space, and it's something that we wouldn't be here, I think, if it wasn't for her, because she and her husband was a trailblazer in the space in the 60s and the 70s. So a lot of the Black children books that found that space probably was written by her, and she passed this past week. So we're going to have some specials on her books as well there. The second thing also wanted to mention too is I want to put a shout out to the Bridge Connect guys who, when we met at that program, I love and respect what they do. Man, that was so great. The idea of us coming together to support one another in a very conscious way. Shout out to those brothers, and I really want to help them any way that I can, any way that we can. EyeSeeMe. The third thing is I want to put a shout out also to Sidney Keys. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this young man. He's been in the news. He came into the store, had that experience that I spoke about earlier, where he was blown away by the number of books that were that looked like him. And so he and his mom, and with the help of my wife Pamela, started a book club for boys. It's called Books and Bros. And so that posting that she did on Facebook went viral. Right, over 100,000 views, and then it got picked up by the media. It was on Huffington Post, it was on CNN, it was on Ellen, all these various. So he blew up. That makes us feel so good. That was one. Our light helped spark that one. So you can imagine if we keep doing this, how much this will be able to impact our community in a real way. So shout out to Sidney Keys and his mom, and we're just so really proud of them. We're going to continue to do some great things with them.
Yeah, I've got a little buddy, a little mentee. We'll be over there in a few weeks with a book signing. My man, Mikey. Mikey knows.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Phenomenal guy. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Exciting. Excited for him releasing his first book. And he's up the Books and Bros book club as well with Sydney and those guys, man. So you guys are doing such a phenomenal work, man, that, whatever I can do to help you guys continue to advance the ticket, don't hesitate to reach out. I know we're going to talk a little bit about some marketing stuff that I can help you guys with. But outside of that, anything else, man, I'm definitely going to get you guys over to my church. I'm good friends with the youth coordinator out there. So I'm saying, hey, man, we got to get EyeSeeMe out here and introduce these people to that concept. So give us the address and the phone number real quick.
We're right there, University City on Olive Boulevard, 7827 Olive Boulevard in University City. Website, www.EyeSeeMe.com. And also the phone number, 314-349-1122. 314-349-1122.
Awesome. So I'm going to end the broadcast, but stay on for a quick second. Hey, guys. You heard it from the man. We need this, guys. We need this. If you're in the local St. Louis area, let's get some dates on the calendar. The fastest way to get everybody in St. Louis exposed to what they do and how great they are is to have them come out and do a book fair at your location, do presentations, do all that stuff. Have people drive the traffic to the actual store. I'm telling you, take your kid to that store, and I guarantee you, you're going to need to be prepared to spend a few dollars too, because they're not going to see all of those books with people that look like them and not want to grab some of that stuff. So if you have children who are struggling with reading, it's not that they don't know phonics. They're struggling with reading because it's a want to issue. I don't want to read that same old mundane crap, right? So that's a good thing for the children. So get them over there to that bookstore. Guys, pump the website, go over to the fan page, EyeSeeMe, like the fan page, and as always, leave a comment. Let them know that you're believing in them. Let them know that you support them, because that takes them a long way, guys. We've got to show support when we have positive things like this coming into our communities to serve such a great need, and not only fulfill it, but fulfill it efficiently, effectively, with passion and love, guys. I'm your man. You can tell I'm a little bit excited about EyeSeeMe. So until I talk to you guys next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. Peace out, people.